All right, it's your boy Spank Dog, aka Puffinstein at YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You already know. Let's get right into it. Today, the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, said something disrespectful about Assata Shakur. She was a Black Panther. They pulled over. She was on the highway, and allegedly, she opened fire on a highway patrolman. She fled to Cuba. They had given her life in prison, but she escaped. They actually broke her out. Like, this is an ill story. I don't know if she shot the cop or not. You know, when they went to go get her in Cuba, they let her take political asylum. And now, when they pulled them over, she was in the car with two other guys. One guy's name was Zaid Malik. Forget the name of the other man. But what I wanted to talk about too was the fact of how horrible it was for Black folk in that specific time. Things were unfair in America, and they still are. People are supposed to be equal, and it's not like that. It's something that can't just be erased like that. It has to be a conscious choice by a certain amount of individuals. And I think there's a lot of white folks that aren't racist beyond that. You know what I'm saying? But there are some that are. It makes it an issue in America. We're going to get straight into it. I just wanted to give you some facts. You know, when DL Hughley and a man, I believe, from Instagram who left a comment, this is the day and age we're in right now where you could leave a comment. I don't even remember his name. We're going to see it in a second. What he wrote was epic. You got to understand, man, when you were Black at the time that she got pulled over, it wasn't like it is now. And even now, it's still dangerous for Black folks when they get pulled over by police in 2025. So imagine in 1977. I don't expect people to look at it like if it was a level playing field. They were fighting for equality in America, for rights for Black people. Black folks saying we're tired of being treated like we're not equal. Without further ado, we're going to get into the video. I want you to take a good look at what D.L. Hughley says and what the guy writes. And it was actually D.L. Hughley who found the Instagram user that wrote the message.
I find it interesting that a man who is the head of the finest police organization in the world, the FBI, knows everything about a Black revolutionary and nothing about a white nationalist. That Kash Patel wants to be a white supremacist so bad, so bad. And I think kissing all them white people ass got to fuck up the taste of his curry.
Comedian, now podcaster D.L. Hughley takes to his Instagram to respond to FBI Director Kash Patel's remark on the recent late great Assata Shakur, who recently died at 78. Assata Shakur was a political activist born Joanne Byron in 1947, who joined the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army, fighting against racism and state oppression. After a 1973 shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike that resulted in the death of a trooper, she was wrongly convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
The man narrating believes she's innocent. I don't know if there was like an abundance of things pointing towards the cops setting her up.
She escaped in 1979 with the help of comrades, was granted political asylum in Cuba in 1984, and lived there as a political refugee, listed on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list for her activism. Recently, FBI director took to his Twitter X, telling people they should mourn the death of Assata Shakur, saying Joanne Chesimard didn't fight for justice. She murdered New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forrester in cold blood, then fled to Cuba to escape accountability. The FBI never stopped calling her what she was, a terrorist. Mourning her is spitting on the badge and the blood of every cop who gave their life in service.
You know, Kash Patel, I'm in tune with the way he behaves as the head of the FBI. And I seen him give testimony. He's not somebody I would trust. When you talk about people in high positions, you got to be ready for people to be mad at you. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. But I also have to show a certain amount of class when I do what I do on YouTube. I'm not up here trying to upset anybody. You know, I'm up here trying to tell the truth. And regarding what's going on with the Epstein files, Kash Patel, I feel like he's, in my opinion, he's not keeping it 100 at all. So we'll leave it at that.
D.L. Hughley shared a post on his Instagram page from a woman named Val Villanueva addressing Patel's remark, FBI Director Kash, "You hypocritical ass kisser. Your family fled a dictator's ethnic cleansing only for you to grovel at the feet of another wannabe tyrant, real Donald Trump, who tried to overthrow democracy. Wow. How dare you spit on Assata Shakur's, Tupac's Aunt Grandma legacy while your own father escaped persecution. You're darker than midnight, but you licked the ass of a racist demagogue
Mm.
who pardoned all the violent insurrectionists that beat Capitol Police bloody and caused the deaths of many officers on J6. You call a black revolutionary a terrorist while simping for a Pol Potus who sicked a mob on law enforcement. Your ancestors were expelled from Ugandan for being undesirable, but you police black resistance from your head's bloodstained throne.
Wow.
MAGA is still mourning a white racist agitator like Charlie Kirk, but vilify freedom fighters.
Wow.
Your moral compass is so broken it points straight to Trump's stank ass then to Mar-a-Lago's septic tank.
Yo, that's insane. Like, he crushed it. The part where he says a person who said the stuff that Charlie Kirk said, and they're gonna talk about Assata Shakur when she passed away at 78 years old. Charlie Kirk said crazy stuff, disgusting stuff.
Your father survived Idi Amin's brutality just so you could become Trump's brown attack dog. Disgraceful. Every time you open your hypocritical mouth, MAGA spit on every officer's badge, your own heritage, and every immigrant who actually values justice. Rot in hell, traitorous Paul.
This is what
His father and them fled from Idi Amin. I didn't know that. It was Uganda. That's insane that you would be on that side of things. Now that you're doing good, you would forget where you came from. You fled a tyrant and now you assist one. You know, like I said, I don't let another man's behavior dictate my behavior. So like, even though my man went off on him, that don't mean I'm gonna just follow suit. Not only did he go off on him, he said real, super real stuff. He said, Kash Patel, you hypocritical ass kisser. Your family fled a dictator's ethnic cleansing only for you to grovel at the feet of another wannabe tyrant. Wow. You call a black revolutionary a terrorist while simping for I'm not sure what it says, a hospitis who sicked the mob on law enforcement. Your ancestors were expelled from Uganda for being undesirable, but you police black resistance from your bloodstained throne. MAGA is still mourning a white racist agitator like Charlie Kirk. Yo, what can I say? That he's telling the truth. Vilify freedom fighter and vilify freedom fighters. That's what I'm saying. In the time in 1973 when that went down, they treated black folks like animals. You can't say white lives matter while black people shout black lives matter because white people aren't gunned down by the police like black folks are.
This is what FBI Director Kash Patel had to say about Assata Shakur. And this is what FBI Director Kash Patel responded, the way he responded when he was being questioned in front of Congress and he was asked about Dylann Roof.
So Dylann Roof, who followed white supremacist propaganda, murdered 9 black parishioners in Charleston in 2015. Do you deny this?
I'm sorry. Dylann.
How disrespectful could you be? They're talking about somebody being murdered and you're acting like you don't got to pay attention.
Roof?
Roof?
Can you give me some more information?
You're head of the FBI. You probably know this. If you don't know, that's fine. Okay.
You can give me a reminder. I've got a lot in front of me.
It was national news.
Now, when
I got a lot in front of me.
And Assata Shakur escaped from a New Jersey prison in around 1979. Kash Patel was 1. When she was granted asylum in 1984, he was like 5 or 6. When Dylann Roof went into Mother Emanuel Church in June of 2015, Kash Patel was a prosecutor with the Department of Justice in charge of counterterrorism, but he didn't know anything about Dylann Roof.
experiences that I had seen in prison. In my whole time in prison, most of the women are black or Puerto Rican. The only black woman in the maximum security prison at Alderson, West Virginia. In a prison with the Aryan Sisterhood, about 11 or 12 members, people who wore swastikas on their jeans, who took pictures in giving the Hitler salute. I was in prison with them and with the Manson family. Women, they call themselves Red and Blue. One was Squeaky Frome, and the other one was Sandra Good. And the Aryan Sisterhood, a few hillbillies, the Manson family, and one other woman who, Rita Brown, who was not she was a revolutionary woman, but white. That was where I was from.
Who threatened you against you?
Oh, of course.
She wasn't being set up. She was setting up. She wanted to come back to a Jersey jail that she could get out of. That's what she wanted to do. And she did it very skillfully.
Is it true what she claims, that she was incarcerated with the woman who shot Gerald Ford?
Yo, that's wild. She broke out of prison. You know, like I said, I wouldn't glorify breaking out of prison. That's just ill. You know what I'm saying? You know where I stand.
Some Manson women and some female white Nazis or something?
I'm not sure about the others, but she certainly was incarcerated with, was it Streaky Frome? Some name such as that, who tried to assassinate President Ford. But it doesn't make any difference, does it? She was incarcerated with all kinds of murderers when she once got to Clinton farms here in New Jersey.
Fortunately, this unit was closed down. Not because of any kindness on the part of the Federal Bureau, but these women were all white women. So that their considerations were taken into account, and they decided that that unit would be closed. I was then sent, first I was put in the hole for a while until they figured out what they were going to do with me, and after that they sent me to New Jersey, to Clinton Prison for Women. They sent me to the maximum security section of Clinton. But what they did was they told all the women, nobody from now on will be able to work in population, in the prison population. So all the women who were had jobs or went to school with the other prison population now had no jobs, no schools, no programs, and were just locked down in that little area. And of course, you know, the cause of it. What was the cause? Her.
You get on people's case when they don't do anything when they're on the outside. You know, you call them lazy. You say they don't want to work. And then when you have a person incarcerated, you don't set up something where they could do something positive so that they could try to figure out a way to not feel like they got to do something extreme to live fairly, you know. And I know some prisons have programs and stuff, but it should be way more positive. People think that you could treat people, you know, like animals because they've made mistakes, even though there would be people that people hate getting decent life on the inside. It would benefit so many more. You know, you're doing such a negative thing to hurt very few that might even deserve it. What I'm saying is there is no perfect man. What she's talking about is how on the inside there was no positivity, nothing to better yourself.
Moved women out of that area who they thought might be somewhat sympathetic and flooded the area with women who were notorious rats for the prison administration. So I'm looking at all this, and I think that they're gonna try to kill me, and the prison was constantly instigating things, well, if it wasn't for her,
And then now it's her saying she had to get out of there. Her life was on the line. People would say, if she wanted to live, she had no choice but to make what happened happen, or she wouldn't have lived.
I decided.
You decided.
Yeah, it was time.
It was time to
escape, to try to escape, and that's what I did. When she was sent to Clinton, we knew that at some point in time she'd be rescued, and she was.
It happened on November 2nd, 1979. Ms. Shakur broke out of the maximum security facility for women in Clinton, New Jersey.
And I say it wasn't an escape, it was a rescue, because people came in from the outside, assaulted that facility, and took her out. They took her from there to East Orange. We know that from East Orange, she eventually found her way to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and/or went out of the country and came back to Pittsburgh. I'm not quite sure. But if you are to listen to the testimony of James Costin, who was a witness, a cooperating witness in the Nyack trial, he put her on an airplane in an airport, probably JFK, and she was bound somewhere for the Mediterranean. I escaped. It was a clean escape. No one was hurt. I planned it as well as I could plan it, and that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, man. Yo, first of all, big shout out to Night and Day Talk Media channel. Let me hit that man with a thumbs up. All right, so you seen what the guy from Instagram wrote. He killed it. He said the truth about Kash Patel. I wasn't there. I didn't live her life, so I'm not gonna say whether it should have or it shouldn't have. But there's a chance that she had to do what she had to do. You can't ignore the fact that there was segregation, there was slavery. You know what I'm saying? For people to act like that could be swept away easily. People scoff at reparations. Why? You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's all I got to say, For anybody that I care about that's law enforcement, anything like that, they know what's up. There are cops out there that when they get looked at like creeps, there's no doubt in my mind they could blame it on their colleague, their co-worker. Look, it's your boy Spank Dog. You already know, much love, real love. You know what I'm saying? No fake love. You know what I'm saying? And I'm out of here.